week's show, Liberty Golf seeks a second straight CUSA title and an inspiring interview with legendary broadcaster James Brown.
Plus, we'll share Liberty catcher Savannah Jessee's journey to playing without pain and how Coach Richardson is leading the Lady Flames to the Lord. This is Flame Central. A sports show with a focus on faith. It doesn't get much better than that. Hey there, and welcome into Flame Central. We're so happy you're joining us this week. I'm sure you know the drill by now. I'm Emily, and he's Matt.
From a legend on the anchor desk to a legend on the softball diamond, you'll hear some powerful testimonies today. But we start the show on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, Liberty baseball has been dominant against ACC competition in its midweek matchups. The Flames actually hold a 5-2 record against ACC teams this season. Will that success continue on the road against Wake Forest? Matt, let's not give it away just yet. Bottom two, Javar Williams lines this one to center. That will put the Deacons on the board first. Fast forward to the 6th inning. Liberty now trailing 3-1. But a very familiar and hot bat would belt this out of the ballpark to make it a one-run game. Yeah, that's Jackson Sorensen with his team-leading 12th homer of the season. LU goes on to tie it in the 6th, but not for long. Wake's Luke Costello follows suit with his own solo shot. Liberty's Cam Troyer did have a homer late as the Flames tried to claw back, but couldn't complete the comeback, falling to Wake Forest 6-4. LU returns to CUSA action against Kennesaw State at home this weekend.
We turn to softball now. The Lady Flames continue to dominate Conference USA, and behind the dish for many of those wins has been Savannah Jessee. As you're about to see, given what she's experienced, playing catcher for the Flames and playing softball in general is something that she doesn't take for granted.
I still get butterflies every single game. It never fails. I usually am a little bit nervous when I start putting the gear on. It's like counting down to about 10 minutes until the first pitch. You know, putting on the gear, it's something that I think I used to take for granted. Now I think about it as like I get to do this, and it's just an awesome feeling to be able to put it on because you kind of feel unstoppable in a way. And so I kind of feel a little bit special when I have the gear on for sure.
Beautiful day here in Central Virginia. Starts first of 3 between Sam Houston and Liberty.
As soon as that first pitch is thrown, then I'm chill. I'm good to go.
Liberty catcher Savannah Jessee has the best seat in the house. It's a view she's had since about 7 years old.
Someone went down when we were catching, so she got hurt when I was little, and my dad was coaching me at the time. And so he was like, Savannah, you're gonna try catching. And I was like, okay. And so we went and bought some gear, and I loved it ever since. So credits to Dad for throwing me back there.
Savannah would spend the next few years playing travel ball all across the country. And eventually, the game would lead her to Liberty for a softball camp.
I stepped on campus when I was probably around 12 or 13 years old. And the moment I stepped on campus, I knew that like this is somewhere where I want to strive to become a Flame. The coaches were super welcoming. They called me by my name instead of not just, hey, camper, or hey, you. Like they were like, hey, Savannah, you're doing great, or I see this you need to work on. And they just always invested in me as a person before I even came here. And that was like rare. No one at any other camp had ever done that before.
I do remember Savannah Jessee as she came to our camps and would consistently come because of her size, her strength. So got her attention as a catcher. But the one thing about Savannah is her servant heart. And that's what you need in a catcher.
Savannah would continue to make an impression at camp the following years. So much so that Coach Dot would want her to be more than just a camper.
I think it was September 1st, my junior year, when coaches were able to call. Dot called me that night, and I was like, no way, Liberty, just call me. It's my dream school. Like, yes, yes, yes.
It would be an exciting time until she would experience a setback the summer before she would join the Flames.
I actually caught my best friend, Carlin Pickens. She is the starting pitcher at the University of Tennessee. And when we were seniors in high school, she was throwing anywhere from 68 miles an hour to around 74 miles an hour. So I was constantly catching that every weekend. And she threw one and I caught it wrong. It was a drop ball. And I remember I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. And I held together, but I told my dad after the game, I said, I think I just broke my thumb.
Unsure about the status of her injury, Savannah would report to Liberty just weeks later.
I was already nervous being a freshman. I was scared coming in, letting them know that I had an injury. So they would tape it, my athletic trainer would, and it just kept getting bent backwards, and it was super weak, so nothing was really working.
That's when Savannah and the coaching staff would make the decision to apply for a medical redshirt her freshman season. A decision that wouldn't be easy for Savannah at first.
When you have an injury, it puts it all in perspective. You miss things that you took for granted. And she didn't get to play for a whole season. She didn't get to swing a bat, catch a ball, but yet she was selfless the whole time and a great teammate.
It's been a great learning experience. Even though I couldn't play, I was able to still practice and learn from the coaches and listen and watch the other catchers and watch the other hitters and still do some drills. And I think that it's gotten a really big part of my story.
And that story wouldn't be over just yet. Going into her sophomore season, Savannah would undergo a second MRI. And the news from a hand specialist wouldn't be ideal.
He said, Savannah, I'm sorry, but your UCL is completely torn, which is like the main ligament in your thumb. And I was like, I knew something was going on.
This left Savannah with two options: surgery, which would sideline her for another 8 months. It would also mean another missed season, or to find another way to play without pain. And the Liberty staff would help to make that a possibility.
By warming it up, I'll be able to mold it a little bit more.
By making her a personalized splint to fit inside of her glove, perfectly securing her thumb in place and pain-free.
Jessa realized that with her thumb injury, how much we really cared about her. And she has developed an amazing character from her freshman year, this maturity level. And it's something that, again, going through the rough times, she's able to share with our freshmen that have come in with injuries as well for medical red shirts. So it's a powerful testimony.
Number 24, Savannah Jessee.
And today, Savannah is able to live out that same dream she had when she was a 13-year-old camper, all while still enjoying her favorite view.
I couldn't imagine myself, being another position. I love what I do, and I'm just so honored that the coaches have entrusted me and have confidence in me to get the job done behind the plate.
1-2, swung on and missed, strikes out the side.
What a cool story. Love Savannah Jessee. Matt, what I love about these in-depth features is you learn how a player ended up at his or her position and also ended up at Liberty. It's just cool to see that Liberty was Savannah's dream school, and now she's playing here today.
I was interested in, I've never seen a cast like that before.
I know.
A moldable cast for a player to wear. The lengths that Liberty has gone and that staff has gone to get her back out on the field was really cool. And it's good to see her continuing to have success now that she's out there.
And she is so appreciative of all of that support from the Lady Flames. All right, let's hit the links. Liberty Golf has had an up and down season so far, but the Flames are playing the best golf at the right time as they look to defend their CUSA title in Arkansas. The Flames sat at the top of the leaderboard the entire tournament, shot 11 under in round 1, 9 under in round 3. So they were the number 1 seed going into match play on day 4, but unfortunately, Liberty's run ended in extra holes in this semifinal round. The Flames will miss out on regionals for the first time since 2015.
Well, on the field, baseball, softball, golf, and others take center stage in the spring. But listen, we all know that even in the offseason, football is king. And with so much happening in the portal and beyond, we thought it'd be a good time to catch up with head coach Jamie Chadwell on this week's Flames Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage. He addressed some of his philosophies on building a program during an unprecedented time in college athletics.
How do you develop a team in this type of landscape?
That's been extremely hard. Now, we don't compromise on those principles. I do believe with all the change and all the different people coming in, if you don't have something that you're standing on, there's no way to have any chance of having a team that's connected at all. I look back from 1 to 2, what did we finish last year? 3 losses in conference last year, and all of them we had a chance to win the last minute, right? And I think every year those values that we stand on give us a chance, a fighting chance. And so I don't compromise on those at all. And in fact, this year I dug into them even more. I think we've dug into them more because I believe that gives you a chance when you bring so many new people in. It can't be just about winning, but I think there's different ways to implement it. I think that's what I have learned over the time is it can't be at the certain way that you've always done it because you got so much change going on.
You're going to want to hear our entire conversation with Jamie Chadwell. Very candid stuff from the head coach. You can check it out along with all our podcast episodes on Spotify, Apple, or you can watch on the Liberty Flames YouTube channel. It's quite possibly the best podcast that Emily and I are on. We take a quick time out, but when we return, I sit down with legendary CBS sports broadcaster James Brown to talk football and faith.
Then we name the top athletes of the week. It's Warm, Hot, and Fuego when Flame Central returns.
So you're looking for a university that's perfect for you, a school that has anything you could possibly need.
Anything?
You want a place that has the programs you want to study, and maybe a few more, just in case you change your mind.
I think I'm going to sign up for the fashion design program.
All right. A place with state-of-the-art facilities. I mean, look at this campus.
And who doesn't love big-time sports?
And great recreational activities.
Okay, now we're on a roll. Somewhere you can hike, slide, strike, shoot, climb, eat, and most importantly, eat. You want a place that takes you to space? Okay, maybe not, but we can teach you how to fly, or pastor a church, or run a business. And all that with a great view? Yeah, I think I know a place.
At Liberty University, we understand life can be unpredictable, and when you need a resilient career, your education should withstand any test. So we've made sure the degree you need is within reach by freezing one of the lowest tuition rates in the nation for 8 years and counting, and giving scholarships, discounts, and credit for work you've already done. Because we're proud of what you do. We've done this for over 30 years, and we know how to help. We're here to help you.
Welcome back to the show. If you're a fan of the National Football League, then you're probably familiar with this face. James Brown has been a sports broadcaster since 1984. But as you'll hear in this exclusive sit-down interview with Brown, he doesn't find his identity at the anchor desk. He finds it in Jesus.
All right, JB, we appreciate you making time for us and sitting down with us today. A lot of people recognize you, one of the faces of the NFL on CBS. They've watched you on TV for years. They may not know you were a hooper. Basketball was your first sport. Did you think that would be your career path, playing basketball?
I was in your kind of shape back then, so I looked like a basketball player. I had the 4-foot afro. I had the Clyde Frazier sideburns. I always tease and say once I got involved with football, I had to look the part of playing football. But yeah, I've been closely associated with football ever since, but basketball is still my first love.
You were cut by the Atlanta Hawks. Your pro basketball dreams cut shorter than you would have liked. You didn't know the Lord at that point in your life. How did you handle that disappointment, given that you didn't have that faith to ground you?
From a secular standpoint, I understood that the reason I didn't make it was because, Matt, I didn't work as hard to stay on top as I did to get to the top. I was practicing, I was working hard, so I thought, but not smartly. And so I vowed never to make that kind of mistake in the game of life again. Once I became saved, then I knew what would have been the elixir had I done that early on.
Well, you talk about getting saved. I don't know, that was kind of a journey in and of itself. Explain how you found God, or maybe how God found you during that point in your life before you became the broadcaster we all know today.
Haven't we all heard messages that say that God was never lost?
Yeah.
It's always us. After being cut by the Atlanta Hawks, the best way to synopsize that is that I was looking for something to fill the God-sized hole that I did not know I had in my heart. Happy hours, a steady diet of happy hours. There was nothing happy about happy hours or going to the club. And it was, in fact, one evening coming back from the club, tooling up the road in my little sports car, heading back to my apartment, and I knew the lifestyle was empty. And I said, Lord, you know what? I've heard about you, but I don't know you. If you would reveal yourself to me, I'll serve you. I made that kind of commitment without even really knowing who he was. The very next week, I got an invitation at 24 years of age to go to a pajama party. A pajama party. That really fits for a Christian, right? So once I got in there, about 10 minutes in, I knew I was in the wrong place, and I left. And I felt like I had committed high treason because I didn't live up to my vow to try to find out who he was. That began a 12-year search for a good word-teaching church. Good preaching proclaims, but it's teaching that sustains, and it's the teaching that has guided me nicely.
I know your post-playing career began in the corporate world, but what was it that ended up drawing you back to the game?
I was trying to find something that would satisfy me as much as playing sports did. When the then-named Washington Bullets had an opening for their analyst position, a TV host suggested that I go interview for the job. And I said, I don't know anything about TV. And he said, excuse me, did you not go to college? I said, yes. He said, isn't that a good dictionary degree for you to be able to pursue anything that you'd like to? I said, yes. So he said, so what's the problem? So he sent me down the hall for the audition and impressed the brass there, and that began the career in broadcasting. And I knew I wanted to pursue something that didn't know what kind of platform it would lead to, but it felt like it was second nature to me.
As you got into that and you continue to rise in your career and also, again, grow in your faith, what did being a Christian broadcaster mean to you? How did you live that out and those two kind of coincide?
In corporate America, there were some tenets, principles, if you will, to be successful in corporate America. And they're good. There's no question about it. But they didn't have a firm enough root for me. As I became more aware, discipled well in the Christian faith, I understood that those principles, for me, had to be rooted in biblical foundations. If there wasn't a biblical foundation stone to support that, it went out the window. So once I had the biblical root with scriptures, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, Psalm 75, 6, and 7, all of those, that's what led to the success, because I wasn't necessarily a gifted reporter. I learned on the job. It was a sink or swim proposition. But with God, you can swim well, you can tread water well, and that's what enabled me to enjoy the kind of success along the way.
We watch you every Sunday on CBS and have for years. You make it look so easy. What are the challenges of working with so many, I'm sure, strong personalities, egos, and trying to make them all work together seamlessly so you end up having a good product?
My job is to make certain I understand the strengths and weaknesses of the guys with whom I work and to put them in the best possible position to shine. This year, 2 new cast members, and J.J. Watt, Matt Ryan, the quarterback. Quarterbacks are a different breed. They run the show. You got to keep the big boy happy, you understand? So Matt will share with me everything that he sees in terms of how the game should play out. He's done his homework, an assiduous reader and studier. So I better make certain that the 3 or 4 major points that he's given me during the course of the pregame show, that I try to elicit that. Now, as you well know, the pregame show is pretty structured.
Sure.
So there's certain things we've got to hit in each segment. My golden time is once the games start. Then you're reacting to what you've seen. I want to make certain that each of my guys who've given me the insight of what they were looking for, not only for the big games, but the other games, to pull out of them. And when they see that I'm doing that, they smile. That lets me know I've done my job.
Your others-focused approach has been obvious during your visit here to Liberty University. I know you spent time with communication students, faculty, staff. What is it you hope they can glean from your career?
The scripture goes, if you humble yourself, that the Lord will exalt you. If you exalt yourself, the Lord will humble you. A life in this business, that is, of humbling myself for the best for others, truly had its rewards. And that's the one message I like to let all of the other students know. Yes, I understand the label is that of a sports broadcaster and special correspondent for CBS Sports, but that's what my avocation is. My vocation is about the Word of God, carrying out the Great Commission, doing it to His glory. Colossians 3:23, do all that you do heartily, I love to say excellently, to the Lord and not unto man. He'll take care of the rest.
Well, JB, you're a great example for so many of us in this industry, how you put Christ first, and we pray that God will continue to bless you in that career. Thank you for coming by, JB.
Okay, thank you, partner.
What a great interview and what a great opportunity to sit down with such a legend.
Such an awesome guy. It was great getting to chat and learn from him along the way.
Yeah, awesome to have him here on campus. All right, time to shift our focus to warm, hot, and Fuego. The people wrote in. The people called in. Matt Warner did so great last week. They want him back this week, but
we're giving the people what they want, baby.
The people want a theme. So, Matt, what is it?
Well, Arbor Day, right? This weekend, Arbor Day, trees. So I'm comparing these athletes to trees.
Just when I get rid of my allergies, you're bringing up trees.
That's right. Let's start with warm. Rachel Crane, comparing her to the jacaranda tree. You ever heard of that?
I love that one.
It blooms a little later than most, and that's what she's done this year as well. Rachel Crane started the season 1 for her first 29. But she's been a 3-11 hitter once the schedule turned to conference play. And in this past Sunday's series clincher against Sam Houston, she was 3 for 3, her 4th 3-hit game of her career. She's had hits in 6 of her last 7 contests, and she has given them some really good production in the bottom of the lineup. She's always been great with the glove at third base, but the offensive production of late, her blooming a little bit later than most, has been key for the Lady Flames and will be moving forward.
Saving the best for last, and that's what you need to do here as the end of the season winds down. Okay, so we go from warm to hot. What's the athlete? What's the tree?
The hot Camden Troyer. He's been a mighty oak in the middle of this Liberty baseball lineup. So steady. It's been his most productive season of his Liberty career. He's their leading hitter, actually, heading into the weekend with a 298 average. Homered in back-to-back games, the finale against Louisiana Tech and against Wake Forest. He's also the toughest hitter in the entire conference to strike out. He, along with Jackson Sorensen, Nick Barone in the middle of that lineup, have really carried the load for an offense that, outside of those guys, has had some ups and downs throughout the season. He's been about as steady as it comes for the Flames this year.
Great to have him there in the middle of the lineup. All right, we finish things off with Enfuego.
Okay, Enfuego, the athlete is Amari Lewis. The tree is the albizia tree. Apparently, it's the fastest growing tree that there is. It can grow up to 20 feet per year.
Wow.
Amari Lewis, also quite fast. Take it back to 2024. Lewis won the 200 at the Virginia Challenge.
Right.
Yeah, great accomplishment. Fast forward to this past Saturday, he goes out and does it again. Defends his title running 20.76 seconds, a season best for him. Now we know he's been better in the 100 in his career, but in this race, he defeated an All-American in the 200 in the indoor season, but still took him down for the win, defends his title. He has been a great athlete, obviously, for the Flames. They expect him to continue to be throughout the outdoor season. But Amari Lewis earns Enfuego Athlete of the Year. And it wasn't an easy choice. There were a number of great performances on the track this past weekend, but Lewis kind of rose to the top.
That's a high honor coming from Matt Warner. Great information, insightful information.
Plant a tree, folks.
What? Plant a tree. I'm a palm tree. I want to be somewhere sunny.
Breezy.
Breezy? What kind of tree are you going to be?
You can't put me on the spot
All right,
like
still
that.
to come, Dot Richardson has accomplished a lot in her life, but she shares what means the most to her. It's a new Follow the Leader when Flame Central returns.
Tucked away in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Lynchburg, Virginia, you'll find us, Liberty University. Here, we pursue excellence in all of our academic endeavors, from anywhere. We fight for victory in our athletic programs and fan the flames with a mighty roar. We equip students with a Christ-centered perspective that changes lives. We are creators, problem solvers, and world changers. But above all of this, we are champions for Christ.
Hey, welcome back to Flame Central. You know, one of my favorite parts about this show is hearing from Liberty head coaches about how they came to know Christ and how that now impacts their job today.
Yeah, we love it so much. We turned it into its own segment called Follow the Leader. This week, we get to learn more about head softball coach Dot Richardson and her walk with the Lord.
The thirst and the knowledge for God and a relationship with Him is what should be the center of it all. And when you look at your life and you realize, even looking back, you're like, man, God is good. God is so good. And are we prepared to be with Him and serve Him as long as we have our time on earth with Him? My faith journey began when I was very young. I could see the Lord through my mom. Christ just shined through everything that she said and did. So I got baptized when I was like 9 years old, but then I re-baptized when I was 13 to say, okay, this is really me giving myself to you, Lord. And then life got in the way, whether it was NCAA championships, ASA women's major championships, 2 Olympic gold medals, all of these things. Christ was there and I knew Christ, but the question was, am I building my relationship with Him more? And then it got to the point where all these things started happening in my life that the Lord was moving and directing me. And it was awesome because the day happened when my husband was like, we need to go to this particular non-denominational church. And it was called Real Life. Ken Ham was there. And he's talking about answers in Genesis. It was just kind of, one of those things, just felt the Holy Spirit's presence.
I mean, why do we have the laws of nature? If it's a random universe, why do we have the laws of nature? If it's a random universe, why do we have the laws of logic?
The point was that as a scientist myself and thinking, why is it so hard to realize there's design in the world? We all know it. There needs to be a designer. And that was like unbelievable. So I got baptized again, submersion, coming up. I'm like, but I've been baptized. But you should have seen, I was buying all the books, Answers Genesis. I was buying little books for children and like, why are we not teaching this? And so I'm now in my life, I'm ready just to continue to share Him with others. And I'm in a position here as the head softball coach at Liberty University to do that. And all of these young people need to know more about Jesus. And I don't want them to waste the time that I did knowing He's there, but not seeking Him as much as you should.
Big fans of Dot Richardson on this show. If you'd like to hear more stories like that one, you can always go to libertyflamecentral.com.
And if you love the show, you'll love the Flame Central podcast. Check it out every Monday. Thanks so much for joining us. For Matt, I'm Emily. We'll see you right back here next week.